he reported hearing a sharp cracking sound and feeling something hit his face. He drove home, sought medical attention at the at the Joseph N. France General Hospital, where he was treated and soon after discharged in stable condition. An investigation into the matter is ongoing. Meanwhile, police are investigating a separate shooting incident that occurred on Penny's Beach, Nevis, July 31st. Preliminary investigations reveal that between 4:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m., a male approached several persons who were seated next to a bar and fired one shot in their direction. The armed assailant promptly fled the scene on foot in an easterly direction. Further reports indicate that the assailant was dressed in a white and red jersey shirt. To date, no injuries have been reported in connection with that incident. An investigation into that matter is ongoing. I didn't even realize we had, shootings.
Yeah, I didn't even know about the cultural one either.
Yeah. I didn't realize that there was one in St. Kitts and one in Nevis. Had I not been for this article, I would have still been unaware. So we still have, as you know, we still really heated here within our federation, and so we are thankful that no one has lost a life. That no life has been lost as a result of those incidents. But it really makes you wonder how safe you are on the streets, So, because even the incident where in Nevis, it was at a bar, and a shot fired, several persons were at that bar. And had it not been for, the grace of God in that situation, protecting those individuals, then it would have been an even worse situation. So that is what I discovered there. Another thing that has made it into the news is that the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is actually seeking public input on updating the look of the EC currency. I think that is a good venture at this point in time. The Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, approved the replacement of the late Queen Elizabeth II's image on the Eastern Caribbean currency at the 105th meeting last month. So the Monetary Council also approved a proposal to replace the late Queen with the logo of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, subject to a period of public consultation from now until December 31st, 2023. This image has been proposed because it features all 8 member countries of the ECCU. So right now, as they're saying, they will put the logo on the $100 bill until they have the proper replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So it is anticipated that the landmarks that are currently featured on the EC notes will be retained. These include Anguilla on the $10 on the back of the $10 note, the War Sprite, the Waspet, the Antigua and Barbuda, the Admiral House on the back of the $5 note. For the Commonwealth of Dominica, Trafalgar Falls on the back of the $5 note, Grenada, the Nutmeg, the back of the $20 note, Montserrat, the Government House on the back of the $20 note, St. Kitts and Nevis, Brimstone Hill on the back of the $50 note, St. Lucia, the Pitons. Yeah, well, that French word, back of the $100. And on St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Admiralty Bay,
back of the $10 note.
Yeah. And as I read these things, Jamsa, and to the listening public, I say, wow, these notes are very detailed, and half of the time these things miss me,
Yeah, I didn't even know all
I
that
really
stuff
really have to take a close examination
for real, yeah.
to these notes. I didn't realize that they were so in depth in terms of the feature.
We're just concerned about getting the money and giving it away, as it's spending it. We don't spend time looking at.
And strangely enough, you realize Queen Elizabeth II, the late Queen's face on the note, but the background and everything. I see the image, but I haven't really looked at it in a way to say, well, this is from St. Vincent,
exactly.
and this is Brimstone. So,
in fact, no, like the Anguilla and the Munster, I have to look at those because I didn't even know those were there, and you never ever see landmarks, especially older landmarks on those islands. So
it's really a thing, because as you said, when you get the money, you're just thinking about what it's for.
I'm just thinking about that next fix of jerk pork in my case.
Yes. And I'm sure many persons are like that. As we get the money, we don't think about actually examining the money. We just want to make sure that it's legit, it's a valid note, and it can be spent.
Well, I remember when they changed it to those polymer notes, right? The sciencey side of me. I remember when they came out, I was kind of giving them, but I was more thinking about the material science and so on, and like the anti-counterfeiting measures, rather than looking at the aesthetic part of,
And for some reason, what stands out to me, and I've said this just recently, is the image of the Queen, the image of the individuals who are on the note, rather than the background. So it's something that, maybe it is, when we look at the human brain, what really stands out. Because, when you look at something, there are certain things
that stand out. And some things that may not catch your eye.
Exactly.
May not be as obvious.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I've seen documentaries like this, where even in reading, you don't look at all the words in a word. You probably look at the first and the last letter and familiarity, and then you go. So when words are familiar to the brain, you just look at the first and the last letter. Whereas when you break down words where you have not seen before, the brain does not pick up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I was curious about when this story came out, when I saw the story, I said, I hope they're not gonna put so-called King Charles, And then so I said, oh God, they're not putting back King Charles. So
I look forward to seeing.
Oh, and I didn't even know this. Dennis Richards. He designed the logo of this central bank back in 1984. I did not know that. When I read the article last night, and Marika Gray, a friend of mine, you know Marika, right? No, you might not know her. No, she might be a little older than you. Yeah,
tell me.
Yeah, but no, she did a colored version of the same logo that Dennis did.
Okay.
Adding colors, blue, green, and yellow. If you notice, the article points out what the colors stand for and so on. Well, and I actually like that central bank logo with the flags around the central arranged around the central bank logo, herald, whatever you want to call it.
It's a nice look.
Yeah, it's actually nice.
Yes.
It's
really a nice look, and the article goes on further to say the Monetary Council will make a final decision on the new look of the EC currency by February 2024. So by February 2024, bearing a large portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The first EC banknotes were issued in November 1984 to commemorate the ECCB's first anniversary. And I guess you were looking down here to get the names of the persons who, and I
didn't realize Dwight Venner was on the note either. It's on the back of the $50 note. I did not know that.
And again, is it what your eye picks up?
Yeah, you get that $50. I'm thinking about my jerk pork.
Yes. Sorry. And as you said before, as you highlighted, Kitishans have been instrumental in the design of these notes, because as you mentioned, Dennis Richards, and as you mentioned, Miss Gray, both of St. Kitts and Nevis. So it goes to show that we have been so instrumental in the design of these notes. And I want us to continue to be instrumental, because there's now an opportunity for us as a people to give our view on what should be placed, the nice design.
But you know what's the best part for me? So-called King Charles is not on the notes, not going on the notes. And it's about time the so-called Queen comes off the note as well.
I think it's time for us to represent persons who represent us, features that represent us. And also buildings or any landmark, to actually show show the difference that you're actually here in the Caribbean. The Caribbean has
Yeah.
a different structure and everything.
There's some colonized minds right now having a heart attack, right? Or having mini strokes because he said so-called king and so-called queen, right?
Well, I am a proponent of a republic, St. Kitts and Nevis.
How dare he?
You know, I
You want to take a call?
Sure, that would be awesome.
Island T, you're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Hey,
Hey,
what's
good
up?
morning.
Morning, guys.
Hey,
Yes.
what's up?
Now, the topic that you guys are discussing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm so elated right now because in my view and my energy is telling me change. Change is unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening now, whether you want to say 400 years of slavery has expired or, however you interpret what is happening, change is unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, who is causing this change? Because our people are waking up. Our people are aware. Be aware of your awareness. And it is alive. It is like the energy is vibrating globally, guys. I mean, look at what is happening on the continent. Look at how our leaders are now talking. Now, I want to go back to something I said yesterday, Jamster, with your permission. I spoke yesterday about what is happening in Niger. Now, here we have an old president, President Mohamed Bazoum. He was a puppet for France. Now, and as much as President William Ruto is making so much strides right now on the global scene, he is calling, President Ruto is calling and sending troops from Kenya into Niger because he wants that president to be reinstated. I disagree with President Ruto because the people have revolted because they're saying France have to leave. Now, what is Johnson and Azard?
I thought you were about to tell me. I thought you were about to tell me
Hello?
I thought you were about to tell me that Ruto sent in troops to arraign against France.
No.
To be arrayed against
you see,
France,
Ruto is taking the side of peace and reinstate back the old president. That is what I'm saying I'm not agreeing with him with. Because, really and truly, President Bazoum was there as a puppet for France. France is claiming that they have interest. Well, we know what interest they have in the Sahel region. Over 12 francophone countries that France is raking $500 billion out of the continent. So I can understand why Emmanuel Macron is so furious right now. And he don't want to lose that. I mean, who would? But the reality is that the people are aware of this now. So they're saying, listen, this $500 billion that France is getting, that can trickle down to the common man in the Sahel region in the continent. Do you know that France have more military troops in Africa than what France have in France right now? With all the protests that is going on in France. France have more military troops in Africa. Guys, what are they there for? They're not there to protect Africans. And again, let us not close our eyes to the fact that they are capable of creating scenarios. What I mean by this, they are capable of creating chaos. And it's not just France alone, it's all the military powers outside of Africa. That's their capability. They benefit from it. Our people are waking up now, and we have to squash this system. And like I said, Jamster, the wealth of Africa belongs to you, Azard, myself. But we are isolating ourselves from it because we are in our 6 regions. We don't see ourselves as Africans. Well, we need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of it because they put it in the scriptures in Job, Esau and Jacob, selling of the birthright, inheritance of the blessing. And that's how our people swallowed this misery. Well, we need to get back to who we were and claim what is ours, guys. Because if we can be a part of that wealth, they would become irrelevant. We wouldn't want to say, oh, I want to go to Paris, I want to go to America. Guys, are you seeing the picture here? We have to make this path available for our unborn generations. And that is why I'm saying to you guys, change is unstoppable. It has to happen because it is in the scripture as well. Those who were taken by ships with chains around their neck will be gathered back up into their land of their forefathers. You guys know we were taken. Our foreparents came down on their ships. So let us apply the scripture where it should be, because the story is ours. The story in the book that we read, Mr. Gumbs, it is our story. Let us claim it. Thank you for hearing me.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's go to another call.
Caller?
Caller, go right ahead.
Good day, Jamster.
Hey, what's up?
Azard.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. McMahon, how are
hope,
you?
I'm good. I hope we are not going back to the days, though, of changing governments in Africa by coup. That didn't lead to much progress, right? So regardless of we know that the ex-colonial powers will have machinations and so on, and would want puppet governments, etc. But the answer is not military coup. So I really hope that that's not the case. One thing that I want to mention that passed kind of under the radar, very quietly. I don't know if people have become cynical now, but the federal cabinet, members of the federal cabinet, declaring with their with the photo ops, with the envelopes in hand, declaring their assets, etc. Okay, first time that has happened in terms of the federal cabinet. That is, like I said, I don't know if we've grown cynical because in Nevis that was a yearly ritual, and yet nothing seemed to change there. There were still allegations of corruption and avoiding the procurement procedures, those kinds of things. So what is obviously critical is that we see exactly how this is operationalized, how it's implemented, because that is what's going to inspire the confidence of the public. I saw Dr. Joe in an interview recently. He was asked what was his biggest accomplishment, what he thinks was the biggest accomplishment so far. And basically he said that he had instituted good governance. The thing is, the same has been said by previous governments. Okay, they make a tentative step and they say that it's here, we've arrived. But obviously we have not. Okay, so a lot would depend on the actual implementation of these things. The declarations in themselves are good. It was a welcoming sight, right? Good leadership by example, and I hope that it will be followed by a flood of other declarations from high-ranking public servants. We're not like the advanced jurisdictions where the declarations are public. Ours is still very much a secretive society where there's no appetite for revealing anybody's business, even if you're a public official. So we're not at that level of sophistication yet, but at least we're heading in the right direction. I hope that next year, along with similar photo ops, there would be a certificate. They'll be showing off a certificate of compliance and showing that they are in good standing and not subject to any investigations or those kinds of things. Okay, because these are important instruments to preserve our democracy. That being said, I hope we're not taking one step forward and one step backward, because that would mean we're going nowhere. I saw a clip, I heard a suggestion that contracts were awarded arbitrarily. I would be very disappointed, very surprised and very disappointed if that turned out to be true. I can't believe we would be reverting to the same foolishness of the past administrations where party people and cronies were awarded contracts without following proper procurement procedures, right? Because those do exist. I doubt these claims, but even if they're propaganda and mischief making, I think they must be exposed for what they are. And so a response or an explanation, I think, is warranted from the authorities, okay? Because specifics were mentioned, specific projects and specific contracts were mentioned. And this is not to cast aspersions on any of those people who might have been awarded these contracts. I mean, I think we know them to be competent and they have delivered good work in the past, okay? Certainly, for instance, the renderings for the new houses is, in fact, more appealing than the previous ones. So it's not about who gets it, okay, but it's the process, okay? It has to be consistent. Remember, we kicked up about the Port Zante hut. That was a 6-figure project, and we should be equally careful and scrutinize the 7- and 8-figure projects, whether they be museums or new museums or hospitals or whatever else come on the scene, okay? I would have thought the other contractors and architects would be questioning these things and demanding answers, or maybe they're just content on waiting to have their turn. But this is how corruption creeps into governance. We voted for change, not an exchange of faces. You can't just put new faces in the same old khaki pants, right? So I certainly don't expect the usual responses from government and apologies that, well, they used to do it too. It was an emergency project, so we had to choose one. They should really clear the air, right? And silence just drives speculation and uncertainty, okay? That is how we end up with, for instance, a Nevis hospital, which apparently going to have cost overruns, and certainly there are time overruns, okay? So we should look at these things, and maybe the contracts, for all we know, people were awarded them on the basis of, well, they were doing it gratis or really huge discounted prices for their services or something like that, which is fine, bearing the nature of some of these projects, which is fine, but it should be said up front,
okay,
and not give the impression of some kind of cronyism or anything like that. Everything should be transparent and above board, or appear to be at least. So we await some kind of response.
Excellent points, Mr. McMahon, this morning. Excellent points. Really good points that he has said.
Yeah, the call there, but
Okay.
I was trying to,
Yeah.
I was trying to get it. But yeah, good points.
He said some really good points. What stayed with me is that people voted for change and not a change of faces, and that silence drives uncertainty. Yes.
Caller, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Azard. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you? How are you this morning?
Oh, yeah, giving God thanks, man. I'm alive.
Yes.
I had a little bit of dropping, but Lord, but for the showers we plead.
Yes.
Mercy drops.
Yes.
We need some rain. Oh, we need it.
Send
all the
down the
cattle and
rain.
sheep.
You know the gospel song, Send Down the Rain?
I beg the Lord, don't flood the place.
Okay.
You got to be careful when you're praying.
Yes.
People exactly what you want. We want rain, not flood.
Yes.
Now, I understood what Mr. Batman said, but taking a look at the people, it's the same old cycle. The staunchest party people get the contracts. What makes it look suspicious is when this particular set getting all the contracts. One time I brought up the issue with Dr. Douglas when they were doing CFBC wall and different things. I asked her, why, how is it that the same person or the same set of people getting all the government contracts? You know what he said? Oh, well, they get it because they know how to bid. So sometimes you got inside jobs too.
Yes. Yes,
You
very
know?
true.
Yeah, you see, corruption hard to
You know, that's a really loaded response when you think about it. You know, to bid,
Yeah.
boy, that could be
because well, they
interpreted
get
in
them
so
because
many ways.
they were the best. They were the best. And then other people left out there in the cold to speculate.
Yes.
You could even say to the person, look, you already got 2 or 3 government contracts. Could you, you know what I mean? But it is selfish. Now, good morning, Johnny. I don't know if you heard the news about Ghana and Trinidad and Tobago. I think there was a Ghana trade thing in Trinidad. You know about that?
No.
No.
Tell us
Yeah.
more.
Give us more information.
Yeah, it was in the news.
Okay.
They're in Trinidad. Trinidad and Ghana, I think, signed some kind of relationship where they could ship, I think they intend to ship oil. Trinidad was to trade oil. Ghana brought down a number of these goods they produce, and they were exhibiting, just like how they have in the Taiwanese exhibition in Nevis.
Okay.
There was a Ghanaian exhibition or trade show in Trinidad.
Okay.
Sometimes while we're complaining, things are happening between Africa and the Caribbean. You had the one in Barbados. I think there was one in Guyana. So the change is taking place without the lot of thing. And the man who in Niger, the man who the army took down, they said was democratically elected. We either believe, and that is the same thing when I went to Chile, I learned, you know, the U.S. took down the leader, although he was a communist or socialist, he was democratically elected. So when we are encouraging, are the whole of Africa going to end up under military rule? Is that what we want? Because when they start to impose that, then the people become no better off because they're living under the gun.
Yeah. In fact,
You know?
I have tried to look for the article that you, in terms of Trinidad and Ghana. I've seen an article that was published on, it seemed to be August 3rd, 2023.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah.
At
I think it's this weekend.
At 10:54. So it could be even, so sometime.
Let me finish and then you
Yes,
read
yes,
it. So,
no
so
problem.
my friend could
Go
hear.
ahead, yes.
Maybe you could direct him to where it is.
Yes.
Now, yesterday, my good friend Kalanja was on with Jamster, and he made a declaration which is, according to economic theory, incorrect. We're talking about the gold standard and whatever, and he said that the American economy is backed by oil. That is incorrect. The American dollar is backed by confidence in the American economy. All countries now have what is called fiat. The currency is backed by nothing other than confidence in the country itself. In our case, ours tied to the US dollar, but it is also backed by the amount of reserves we have. And we don't have reserve of one currency, just like in the IMF. Numerous currencies make up a basket. So America is not determining its money, the strength of its money by oil, because the other countries, Arabia, who have much more oil than America. So I just wanted to correct it. And there are videos online that you can go and listen to. The gold standard, when it was introduced in 1944-45, they chose the US dollar because that was the strongest economy at the time. And then they said they could, other people who have the US could convert it to gold at $35 an ounce. And when the economy in the U.S. began to look shaky with the overdraft or the deficits, countries began to trade in the U.S. dollar for gold. And so the U.S. stock of gold was running down. And so their president discontinued it, said it is backed by nothing. So other countries followed. It is backed by the confidence. It's just confidence. If you got confidence in a country, then your currency appears to be strong. But there is no country you could go and take up your currency or your U.S. and trade it for gold. So I just wanted to correct that what you said. Jam, sir, could you recall, right?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right then.
Okay.
So I'm going to listen to hear what you said about the item.
So, apparently, a Tom Fool calls for increased trade between Ghana and Trinidad and Tobago. So it says here that, the African name, I'm not going to try to call that long name, but he says that...
You mean Afu? Akafu. Come on, try it, man. Come on.
No. So the African representative has called for increased trade between Ghana and Trinidad and Tobago in the spirit of South-South cooperation to advance their economies. He said, given the resources available, it is important to draw on the positives to help in progressive development instead of focusing on the negatives. So apparently, there is a representative from Ghana in Trinidad and Tobago as the guest of honor for emancipation anniversary of the Caribbean country, and they met with the president of Trinidad and Tobago. So the article goes on to talk about further collaborations and stuff like that, and relations between Ghana and Trinidad. So seems like there is some spark in terms of relations between Ghana and Trinidad and Tobago in that aspect. But you know what I'll do during the break, Jam, so I'm going to show you the name, and then I'll see if you can pronounce it.
Oh, that's easy.
Yes.
Caller, go right ahead, Island T.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? Go ahead.
What Kalunji did say, he did say it's backed by oil. But he also said, actually, he explained what he meant.
Yeah,
what
he did.
He was saying is the strength of the dollar is the petrodollar, which means, or which is the fact that all purchases of oil, if Russia want buy some oil from Japan, they first got to go to the U.S., buy the amount in U.S. paper, then go and pay Japan. They cannot trade in their respective currency.
Yes.
What he meant is that mentioning, okay, the BRICS nation, they coming in and getting in where they're trading with countries. In those countries' currencies is the debt of the U.S. dollar. He didn't say the dollar is backed by oil flatly.
Yeah, it's de facto backed by oil, but not officially. Yeah,
represent what a person is saying.
Yeah, I got what he was saying, because we all know it's not really backed by oil, but de facto it's backed by oil because of what you just outlined. Yeah, so yeah, I got that.
Is the strength of the dollar?
Yes.
Which is the petrodollar? Bless up.
Yeah, bless up. Island T, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, guys. How are you guys doing today, man?
What's up?
Yeah, I think, I want to just get into the conversation a little bit, right? I mean, Journey is pushing this type of talk that I feel like, a lot of people don't really want to hear it, but this man is onto something, man, and his narrative is educational and informative. And it all depends on how you feel and everyone's opinions and everyone's perspective, but a lot of us, we don't really believe in this Pan-Africanism thing, only because, we got to open up our minds, man. We got to open up ourselves more and be more open, we got to we got to be more susceptible and acceptable to our own African tradition and culture, and our oneness. You know what I mean? We all went to school. We grew up, learning certain information, certain history, but the history and some of that not stuff we were taught in school is not really the case at all, man. So we all grow up having this perception about Africa. Africa is not like that, bro. Africa is just as advanced as some of these other nations in the world.
True.
If you go, me myself, man, I was fortunate enough to make that trip across the Atlantic to Ghana last year, and I'm happy. I'm very happy I did, bro. I mean, I already knew certain things about Africa, but it just when you witness something, man, it's the difference. You know what I mean? The place is developing, bro, and it's a lot of potential there. And since I've came back, bro, I've made a personal investment there, and I hope that that will be fruitful. You know what I mean? I just had to take the advantage while I had it. I bought 1 acre of land there, and the money I spent for that, bro, I would walk down the street in America and blow that away easily.
Wow.
So the potential is there.
That's crazy.
And the African continent is getting younger, and the younger people are going to make that change. The change is going to come to Africa. So Journey's onto something, and that's what he's trying to alert you guys. And the Caribbean region, we can't be just going alone individually, each island. Like the lady said something about Trinidad, right? But why would one island want to trade with Africa, bro? The Caribbean is multiple islands. These multiple islands in the Caribbean need to have these relationships set up with Africa now, rather than wait and come behind. St. Kitts and Nevis being the small federation we are, there's nothing wrong with start forging them relationships, bro. Like I said, the CBI program, they target every other country except Africa. You know what I mean? They need to start trying to build relationships with Africa, man, and try to get on board now. Don't be left behind. We always coming from behind. Why can't we lead the way in something, bro? And the CARICOM region and the OAS, they need to have their organization set in place just like the EU. You know what I mean? And the NATO.
Yes.
An attack on one is an attack on all.
But you remember,
these men they're trying to attack our CBI program. But when they colonized us, bro, they didn't really do nothing for us, bro. They just keep raping and reaping us out. And then, let me ask you a question. You'll name one island in the Caribbean that you can tell me, right, that when they released us from slavery and say we were free and they pull out, right, name one island that they left with a great infrastructure and left us behind with a great infrastructure. They left us behind in shambles, bro. When I was a little boy growing up in Cotton Ground, we had buggy cart roads, man. We had buggy cart roads, and that's what they left us with. Somebody said that they don't want to see us advance. They want us to stay using latrines. I heard somebody mention that on another station. And right now, they're coming back attacking us with the CBI program. Like they don't want us to succeed and they don't want us to strive. And the only way we could strive, bro, is unity, bro. Black people need unity, not just in the Caribbean, but across the world. And if we develop these relationships with Africa, we're not going to really need them, bro, because Africa got everything that we need to survive in this world. That's my contribution, man.
Okay,
and I hope
great.
that man to see these things, man. And I wish you guys the best going forward.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had mentioned 4 minutes until 9 o'clock, listeners. I don't know if I had mentioned to you some unsavory comments Finnish minister made about Africa, about saying Africa needed to be depopulated, which I really took umbrage at, because Africa is by no means overpopulated. And I don't know how is it they never keep the same energy with the countries that really have huge populations, like China and India and say Bangladesh and Indonesia. I find it very strange that how is it they don't tell these people that these countries need to be depopulated. They only seem to have energy for Africans. I don't understand it. Let's take another.
You have another
yeah,
call?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Island T, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, let me turn the radio down. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Culture. How are you?
Mr. McMahon said something, and he's right. But he said it hasn't just started, you know. That is what he said. The same person in old khaki pants. New people in old khaki pants. Well, you know the Bible say, don't put new wine in old bottle. And this thing what he's talking about, old khaki pants, that they've been going on for years since I was a little boy. And when I leave school, I was working for the government that time, and the government was the union, union executive representative. And look at one of the biggest example. That airstrip up there, Mr. Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw airstrip. I built that by operating the biggest machine up there called Scraper, me and others. And every week, there was a jeep from the union, marked 1496. When you see that come up on the site, we know somebody going back down south. Once you wasn't a member of the union and you wasn't a labor supporter, they come turn your way. Many men lose their job up there all because they were back in TAM. It wasn't back in the labor at that time. And a lot of people refused to back labor because the union was run by labor and the government was run by labor. So if you're working for the government and they turn you away, you can't go for the union.
Okay.
And then in the cane field now, where the workers was robbed of the sweat and blood money, the union people went in the cane field, got take away matchet from people who wasn't back in the government. So that is the same behavior from way back come down to right now. Look at right now. It's only people who wearing one color shirt getting jobs. And even people who was wearing the red shirt and the people them talking different, they firing them off the job. That is wrong. So there is no change. The government make promises and plans and they say, well, then they're not going to victimize nobody. They're going to do different. But they're not doing any different. They're doing worse. That is my little input for the day. Thank you very much.
Great.
Let us stop telling lies.
Thank you.
Well, I saw the name. I saw you sent me the name. This is easy.
Say it.
Ashanti Haney Otomfo Osei Totu.
By the time you finish that, and you go on to the next words.
No, it's easy.
Out
I
of
said
breath.
it, but
Say, okay,
no.
said that in a sentence. He is currently visiting Trinidad and Tobago on official visit. Say the whole thing.
Ashanti Haney Otomfo Osei Tutu II is now visiting Trinidad.
So many pauses you had?
No, but
Yes, you had pauses,
that's
Jamster.
much better than most people. No, because I feel like we need to show some more respect to our ancestral languages. Because we rattle off Tchaikovsky and all these other, all these other difficult non-African names.
Who's we?
And Japanese. Well, you know what I mean. Come on, don't come on.
Okay.
I mean, you played piano, right?
Yes.
I'm sure when Miss Wall put Miss
Well, it was
Miss Lawrence
yes.
put Tchaikovsky in front of you and
It was like the
or whoever or Chopin or or Liszt.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, there are
Liszt.
persons who support the the view for going back to the motherland, and so there are persons too who appreciate that and appreciate what we have now as well as a country. So I mean, we have different views on it, and we're going to have different views on it as we go along.
One of the things you have to remember with these names, the S is pronounced like a H, SH.
Oh.
Because if you notice, you know the word Ashanti, but it's
Yes.
actually spelled A-S-A-N-T-I. But a lot of people spell it A-S-H, Yeah.
I want you to experience Africa and come back
right?
and come back to us.
I
Tell me.
I might not come back. Well, let's take a call before the break.
Yes.
901, caller, go right ahead.
Mr. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Sometimes one wonders about your appreciation of diversity. So tell me, what is African about someone whose name is spelled T-Shona, is called Kidashona. People name their children what they want to name them.
Well, that's different. That's not the African thing. That's just people wanting to flex their individualism. And
what's wrong with someone in St. Kitts eating pizza?
Thank you. Dr. Wan, I mean, Mr.
What
Wan.
is wrong with someone in China eating macaroni?
Mm-hmm.
It's people. The reason we live in a world. We don't live in St. Kitts and Dominica and the Seychelles and Guinea-Bissau.
Where do you pull the Seychelles? Where do you put the Seychelles in? I'm just kidding. I was teasing you.
Okay. We live in the world, as Carl Sagan said, go out far enough and what you see is a pale blue dot, which is called our solar system, the Earth. I may have been born in St. Kitts, but there are things about other countries, their music, their food, their clothing styles, that I enjoy, that I love.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean I love St. Kitts any less.
Mm-hmm.
It just means I have an appreciation for other things. Because I was born in St. Kitts, I should not love country music.
Preach.
And because I was born in Guatemala, I should not love calypso. And because I was born in Milan, Italy, I should not enjoy reggae.
True.
Come on.
True.
Yes.
We have influences. Look, you're on the radio and you are hoping at this moment, and I'm sure you would appreciate it, if someone sends you a text message and said, I am listening to you online and I'm living in Reykjavik, Iceland. You would say, wow, look how far people are finding this interesting.
True.
Appreciate that the world is a smaller place relative to when Christopher Columbus, funded by Queen Isabella, crossed the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
So please be more appreciating and understanding that there's nothing you could say treacherous about someone from one culture loving, enjoying something from another culture.
I hope you never got the impression I said that.
Self-hating, as some people would call it.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
Okay. And think about, and I mean, we're on the topic about going back to the motherland and stuff like that, but there are a lot of persons who talk about it, right? But how many persons have actually made an effort to go there? Most times, when given the options, persons go to the US, persons go to the UK, person goes as far as France, Spain, Switzerland, Singapore, and don't visit the motherland, as so to speak. So, I mean, again, you see persons expressing different views and choices. To me, that's okay.
And even when you express an interest, they don't do the thing that is easiest. Try to learn about it. Rather, they are filled with the cartoonish ideas about what life in other countries, in other continents is like. You know, Africa isn't Nigeria and Mali. Africa is also Libya, Egypt, Morocco in the north, South Africa in the south,
South Africa,
Kenya,
yes.
Somalia in the east, okay? Liberia on the west. You know, Africa is all of those. Africa is not just one place with, quote, black, nappy-hair people.
And this is what we
Africa
had discussed
is
before.
Many religions, many facial appearances. Africa is a huge continent of thousands of different people.
Yes.
and culture.
Yes.
And some fine ladies. I'll tell you
We
that.
focus, oftentimes when we think about Africa, we focus on one particular image in our minds when, as you have said, Africa is far more diverse. And I mean, there are South Africans who aren't black. There are South Africans who are white. There are South Africans
He
who...
will tell you that they are not South Africans. They are trans.
Yes.
You know, I haven't had any breakfast. I really don't. I don't have the energy to fight this fight right now.
Yes. And so in the discussions previous, I tried to say we have to look at Africa not just through a narrow lens, but it's a much wider than that.
It's not a narrow lens at all, because most of the people look like me and you. So how is that narrow? That's very wide, actually.
But we are saying that there are different persons, persons who don't look like you and I, who are Africans, who live in Africa, who experience Africa.
How did I get there?
How did we get here?
You don't. Yes, how did we get here?
Anyway, that's a whole discussion.
This is a hill you want to die on? Because
how did the Inuits get to Alaska and Greenland? We said that life started in Africa. So how did the Inuits get to Africa and Greenland and now call it their native country, that they are the original people of those lands? Are we going to be saying this in the year 23?
And look at it in America. How did the Americans get over there? Initially, they were from the European countries.
Exactly. Should we simply move them all back to Europe and say, look,
are you guys listening to
back
yourself?
to the Caribbean, if I may add, as well as back to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And are we going to say this?
You guys,
yes, one cannot and should not.
You guys are giving me a master class in disingenuousness right now.
No, we have a different view to yourself.
Not forget the past and all
exactly.
the indignities and inhumanities imposed on people,
Thank you.
And some guys thousands of years ago. One should not, on any circumstances.
And this is
but one should not live one's life in the past either.
Exactly. For example,
because give.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I often say to people who complain about, for example, just say life in St. Kitts?
Mm-hmm.
I say, if I give you your opportunity, give you a chance, and funded your ability to pick up your house, put it on a container, along with your job, and move it to another Caribbean island that was a former British colony, which island would you choose? And more than 90% of people say, I think I'd rather stay here. In spite of all of the awful things that are happening, most of us will not by choice, even if funded by the Marcus Garvey Foundation, choose to get on the good ship and sail back to, quote, Africa. Because where on earth in Africa are we going back to?
To that point, what I found interesting? Mm-hmm. There was a story I had heard when I wasn't here at the time, but I heard that when the volcano erupted in Montserrat, and the British sent a ship to pick people up, and they said only like one person went.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that says a lot. I mean, in spite of what happened, how Montserrat was devastated and all that. Most of the people probably either came. I know a lot of them came here, but some went to Antigua, but only one person went on the boat, at least to the UK. And I wonder what I would like to know what the British thought about that, because they probably were. I would like to think that on some level that might have shattered their sense of maybe self, in a sense, because I always feel like they look at us in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the visa entrance.
I think the visa entrance requirement, and I think
they carry on because they think we're desperate to they think we're desperate to be there.
Well, based on what they say it's a matter of security. Mm-hmm. Other persons are of the view that it's a matter of competition, but security and competition doesn't equate to racism, because it could be that anyone who poses competition to them, they would have the same regard for. And anybody who poses a threat to their security, they would have the same stance for. So I just say it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a racist stance.
No,
It
no,
could
no.
just
I wasn't
be
even talking
either
about that.
competition or
I
security.
was just kind of supporting CJ's point where
Yeah.
we all love where we
do.
where we grew up, and
there's a sense of
even-
familiarity.
Even after a volcanic eruption, most of the people decided, no, I'm not going to the UK. I'm not getting on that boat. I'm just going to rush.
Because they heard that the place rains every day, and that it is cold, and that comes understand. And of course I'm quite skeptical of this one person story because one has read reports of people.
Well, I've read it.
their
I've read it
families.
officially as well.
Because
maybe that's just one on that specific occasion.
I mean,
because I know persons my age
Well,
who
listen,
during
people-
that time would have left for England. So I know there are persons who are in England now. Maybe not on that specific
On that
boat,
boat,
maybe,
exactly.
but persons did leave for
Maybe
England.
took planes. Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Yeah, people did leave for England. But then it goes to the point.
Okay, could I push you 2 cents in on this thing about these visas? I am sure that the English, as part of their never lost xenophobia about foreigners, after all, Brexit wasn't one based on economics primarily. Brexit was based on the notion that these foreigners, people who are pink, who came from other parts of Europe, Poland, all parts of Europe, had gone to England and were perceived as having, quote, taken their jobs or deprived them of opportunities. Let us look at ourselves. Let us think of Mr. David Rudder's song about Haiti. We all agree that the people of Haiti are living in hell at the moment. And yet, some people from Haiti seeking an improved standard of living find themselves in St. Kitts. And the uproar amongst us Kittians about send them back. And we're wondering about, and we feel aggrieved when England and Britain and other countries take on sometimes what seem to be unfair immigration policies. We are just down the road from Haiti, and they are like us, and they came from Africa, and they were the first people who fought and won their, throwing off their shackles of enslavement. But circumstances, French reparations and all this other stuff, and incompetent, dishonest, corrupt politicians has put the country of Haiti into what it is today. And we in the broader Caribbean, when they turn up, the first thing we want to say is send them back, because we are afraid that if we let in 10, then 100 will come, and then 1,000 will come. We have the same, we, meaning people of St. Kitts, people of Iceland, people of Argentina, people of, you name it, we all have the same challenges in South Africa. South Africans are saying, why are these Zimbabweans coming over here to take our jobs? Can they go back to Zimbabwe? Okay? All over the world, people are protecting their own lifestyles or changes of lifestyles from others.
Yeah.
Whether the others look like them, speak like them, because they are not us. It is not St. Kitts. It is not Europe. It's a universal attitude that people of the world on this pale blue dot have.
I
Take
can't.
enough of your time, gentlemen.
No. Wait.
Excellent point, Carla. Excellent
I
view.
I want you to weigh in on the Christina. Yet another year where the Christina disaster is all but ignored. I know that this is a sore point for you, so I need you to weigh in on that.
It is a very sore point for me. I am so old that I was alive when the Christina sang.
Wow.
And I will make, this is a comparison that I make all the time. On the 1st of August, Saturday, August 1st, 1970, approximately 225 people died when the Christina sank. The population of St. Kitts at the time was about the same as it is today, about 50 to 55,000 people. There wasn't a person living on St. Kitts who did not know someone who had died. And there was not a person on St. Kitts who was not a relative of someone who was on the boat. We had the bombing of 2 towers in New York in the year 2001, and it caused world outrage and grief. But only about 3,000 people died. The population of New York City was about 8 million. Relative to the populations of St. Kitts Nevis in 1970 and New York City in 2001, if the same number of people had died in New York City that day, the death toll would have been 35,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Because our small population, 225, was a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, on the second Sunday of the month of November, we march up to the cenotaph at the western end of Irishtown, and we memorialize 26 men who died defending the King of England in the 1914-18 and 1939-45 World Wars. And yet, here on the St. Kitts, and I can't speak of Nevis, I know not enough, but here on St. Kitts, we have no such thing. We continue to turn a blind eye, we continue to ignore it. And my concern is not because we don't know that we should, but often, especially amongst younger folk, they're not even aware of it. Just imagine the greatest loss of life on St. Kitts, Nevis, other than through natural disasters or some kind of pestilence, was the sinking of the Christina. It is not a mandatory part of the education of our children. It should be part of the curriculum of our country. Okay? The sinking of the Christina was a very important factor in the emergence and founding of the NRP, because it gave the people of Nevis a way to come around a grievance that they had. But why hasn't it been celebrated? Why hasn't it been commemorated? Because there's no political capital to be gained, because the sinking of the Christina was a combination of negligence, a combination of mismanagement, and just a failure of the country from an administrative point of view to foresee what was going to happen that day. Because everyone in St. Kitts, Nevis, knew that boat went to and from St. Kitts and Nevis on a regular basis, overcrowded. As the inquiry into the Christina disaster revealed, they never, ever put, the people who were responsible for collecting the money on the ship, never, ever turned in more money than the 155 persons that it was registered for. So even if 200 people were on the ship, they never, ever turned in monies from 156 people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it did not, all the other sources should tell, the boat simply was overloaded. But as people said at the time, it wasn't the most overloaded it had ever been.
Mm.
It sank because a few days earlier, a week earlier, the boat had been was being repaired, and the bulkhead dividers in the bows of the boat had been left open in one area. Water kept going in, and over the week, the boat kept water going into that area, and it was riding lower and lower in the water. Christine had safely crossed the Narrows in rougher seas and with greater numbers of people on board than it did on that day. But let's get back to the actual commemoration. Something must be done. But our people, unfortunately, for different reasons, just don't pay attention to it that it deserves. Yes, it is true that very often when we have something traumatic in our lives, people cope different ways. Some people remember it every single day.
Let me ask a
and
question.
Some people block it out and don't even conscious that they've blocked it out.
Let me ask a
We
question.
have done both.
I'm wondering.
So we are somewhat, but just let me show you here. We have a celebration going on this week of a party's 1 year in office. What about 53 years after the sinking of the Christina? Where was the commemoration on that day? Which one has greater significance for the country of St. Kitts and Nevis?
Excellent points.
Is it that we don't have the... Sometimes I wonder. I mean, we already gave short shrift to Emancipation Day. And then you put the Christina disaster on top of that.
Yeah.
Is it that we don't have the emotional bandwidth, especially for the Christina disaster? When you add that on top of Emancipation Day, which we already don't ignore, and then I don't know if we can hold these two ideas, all these two observances in our
I
heads.
disagree with that.
And I'm
I
asking
disagree
the
with that.
I'm asking the
Try
question.
telling that to the people today who are in their 60s, who were left orphans because both mother and father had died on the Christina, and who were therefore raised by the people in their villages. Tell that to the people whose children, had died that day. Tell that to the woman who died just a few years ago, who was sitting on a bench, and the 5 children sitting next to her died. Tell that to her that she doesn't have the capacity, the ability to cope with that.
No, I more meant
Remember, there was
officially.
no kind of psychiatric counseling in the days and weeks following. We went back to school as usual in September. I don't recall us being asked to write a story or tell us your feelings about Christina and that. The conversation was amongst us as children, coming from the teacher at the front of the classroom, in any way trying to cope with us. No, tell that to the children who found themselves, as I said, without parents, and then somebody from some ministry go to the house and deliver some flour, kerosene, and walk away and don't wonder if the child has matches to start a fire outside in the yard. It is that we as a country, we have, after all these years, we still have sufficient people, first-hand knowledge, first-hand experiences, both as relatives, as loved ones, and just as people who are alive that day, in realizing what a trauma that had on the country, and it continues to have on the country for all sorts of diverse reasons. And so it was, with some, you could say, I guess something, I don't know what this thing is, that we saw a thing, as I deliberately choose to describe it, erected there at the front of the National Museum there at Port Zante. But no, it has never been, quote unquote, opened, as we would say. It has never been had an official launching. It is just there. What does it represent? Does it have any, in terms of its architectural design, what does it represent relative to a sunken ship?
Yes.
We don't know. It just went up, I want to take credit for the fact that on the 50th anniversary, Dr. Harris was Prime Minister, and he attended a ceremony we held at the National Trust for that event. and I, for whatever better word, demanded that something be done, and he promised that by the next time, which was August of 2021, that there shall be a memorial somewhere. Well, COVID came in, and we know that would have had a significant effect on things. However, one eventually was built. But what is it? Was anyone whose relatives or who was still alive? There are many people walking around Bastille today, walking around St. Kitts today, who are among the 91 people who survived. Has anyone ever invited them to come and be part of some ceremony to say, dedicate this to those people who died and those who were fortunate to survive? No. We have treated the sinking of the Christina, the greatest trauma in modern St. Kitts Nevis, as let's not talk about it. Okay? Not as a prodigal son, because a prodigal son eventually was brought back home, but as if we don't talk about it, we don't have to wonder about who was responsible. Who was responsible is not important right now. It is dealing with the loss and the trauma of the people who are still alive and who are yet to be born because of the trauma, being suffered by their own parents and what will now be grandparents.
Okay.
That's what we need to be dealing with.
Yes.
And it may sound like a bugbear of mine, but it is one of the two things that bothers me, because I had friends, school friends, I had relatives who got on the boat that Saturday afternoon and never came back ashore, neither alive nor dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, it's 9:28. That was CJ Warner. And this is something that needs to be fixed. And
gentlemen, may your Thursday be what you would like it to be.
Thank you. Same
Mr.
to
Warner.
you.
Yes.
Okay, so it's 9:29. Yes, we're gonna get a quick word, and we're gonna come back with some members of the Rotary Club, right?
Yes.
And yes, and that's coming up right after this.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Enjoy your summer with the Bank of Nevis Limited. It's that time, and the bank has the perfect summer loan package for you. Take a vacation, enjoy a staycation, advance yourself academically, or prepare your children for back to school. It's your choice, with up to $30,000 unsecured loan with an attractive low interest rate. Additionally, up to 5 years to repay. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Offer ends September 30th, 2023. Bond strong.
Found the South 98.9. Win FM.
Rams the good food people, always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices, Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty, Rams is always here. We are community, we are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
Hey kids, drink coffee!
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking, football, playing cricket,
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere.
Comprehensive disaster management is about every one of us being ready to manage any natural or man-made event like hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, fires, oil spills, or volcanoes. It's about having your home or business prepared with an emergency plan as applied. It's prevention. Keeping your home, business, or community well maintained and safe. It's about being able to get your life back on track after the event. Will you be ready? Visit NEMA.kn or log on to NEMA SKN on Facebook.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware.
It's 9:33, and we've got two members of the Rotary Club of St. Kitts Nevis, with another member joining us shortly.
Yes.
Good morning.
We have Mr. Charles Morton, who is the president of the Rotary Club of St. Kitts. We have Miss Leah Chatterton, who is the assistant governor, St. Kitts, and we are expecting the public image director of the Rotary Club. So I want to say pleasant morning to both of you who are here today.
Good morning, Azard. Thank you for having us. One slight correction. I am actually operating a dual role here today. So I am the assistant governor for St. Kitts.
Oh.
But for the Rotary Club of St. Kitts, I am the director of public image. On her way is past AG Francis Ann, and she's the director of fundraising.
Okay, so you have a dual role.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And thank you, Azad.
No
Good
problem.
morning to the listening public and viewing audience. Charles Morton of the Rotary Club of St. Kitts, and I hold the post this year as president. It is my honor and privilege to serve the club.
Well, let me say firstly, congratulations to you and congratulations to the new board who have been elected to serve for this period. And how long would the period be for?
The period lasts from July 1 until June 30 of the following year. So
Okay.
it's July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Could you tell us, those persons listening, of the persons who comprise the full executive? Because I know that is just a small portion of you here this morning.
Okay, you caught me off guard there, Azad, but
No problem.
I will give you a quick AG Leah is here, so she can assist.
Yes.
But from my memory, it's myself as president, and then as vice president we have Trevor Blake, who was district governor, some 2 years ago, and we have for directors we have here director for public image Leah Cragg. And you have to give us a break. I'll give the full names. I'll give the full names. But normally in Rotary, we go on a first name basis. But still, I'll give the full name so that persons within the listening and viewing audience can have an appreciation.
Okay.
So I continue. Director of what we call New Generation, that's for the youth arm. He's Gavin Bell. For membership, we have Alicia White. We also have for what we call Rotary Foundation, that's things all Rotary related, that's Mr. Ron Badi. We also have Miss Francis Ann Satney, who is the director of fundraising. All these persons are directors. They're responsible for various areas, and we all administer the operations of the club. Then we also have Cara Daly, who is the secretary of the club. And the treasurer of the club is Mr. Scott Keynes. We have, in addition, Sonia Parry. She's the immediate past president, and she holds the title of director of club administration. I think that basically is. Sorry. Oh, Dwayne, yes, Dr. Dwayne Archibald. he is, and I don't understand how I could forget Dwayne, because Dwayne is also a past president, and Dwayne holds a very critical role because he takes care of the projects, like the service projects, and that is what Rotary is about.
Wow, it seems like a very extensive list of persons involved in the Rotary. For those of persons outside who might not know the distinction between governor and president, what is the distinction between them? Because we are we of directors, but in terms of the governor and the president, how?
Right. I'll let Leah answer that, but before she does, I just want to indicate that I neglected to call Bobby Morris. That's Robert Morris. He's what we call the Sergeant of Arms. So he controls less. Yeah, when we have meetings, when persons, he deems whether or not we are in order or out of order, and he acts accordingly, and he charges members, so that persons are kept in line all the time. And there's a small cover charge of, normally it's $5.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, over to you, Leah.
Yes.
It's all in good fun, though. It's a fun way to raise money for the club while keeping membership in line, as President Charles indicated. So the Rotary is divided globally into zones, and those zones are further divided into districts. So there are 34 zones worldwide that is controlled or governed by what we call the Rotary International President. Then each zone are allotted a director, and then within these zones there are districts. Each district has a district governor. St. Kitts is part of District 7030. We are the most northerly country in that district, and it runs southward down to Trinidad and Tobago, and it includes the ABC Islands and Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana in South America. So the district governor, he basically is in charge of all of those clubs. We have 75 clubs in our district. Each country has, whether one club, two clubs, multiple clubs. Trinidad and Guyana, they have the most clubs within the district. And then each country has an assistant governor who is a representative of the district governor in that country. Until the district governor comes, he or she usually visits once per year. So that person helps with the coordination and ensuring the liaison between the club and the club's activities and the district governor to ensure that the district goals are met. We're in line with Rotary goals as well, because Rotary International has an overarching goal that we all aim towards. And then each year that changes a bit, but not necessarily changes, but our approach to it changes, as does the world. So we try to keep up with what's happening in order to keep our membership engaged.
Okay, it seems like a very, well-connected, expansive structure.
It is, and from right down, from the top, go down. So from Rotary International President, come right down to Rotary Presidents and Directors. The leadership of Rotary changes every year. Every June 1st, then we have a new Rotary International President, new club presidents, new director. Well, no, the zone directors serve 2 to 3 years, depending on their appointment. But everybody else typically changes.
Is it a situation where it is that the rules and regulation say that there must be a change of person, or is it that persons can go up for re-election?
You can. Initially, there was no limit. So you had persons in the past who served consecutive years, a number of years. Charles is actually serving his second stint as president of our club, and he was president of the club that was in Nevis some years ago. But now, as the rules change, because the rules update every 3 years, and over time, given the membership and the way that members want to be governed, then the rules adapt to help that situation. So right now, I think it is the rule is you can serve as president more than once, but not consecutively. Yes. Okay. So we have smaller clubs, like some of the clubs in Trinidad, who they have probably 15 to 20 members, and they do recycle their presidents a lot. Sometimes you've had situations where you've had the same president for years, 5, 6 years, and the club is fine with it. Every year at election, they just nominate the same people and they're fine.
So it's based on the nature of the club and
Yes,
the
makeup.
circumstances.
Right. But each club is autonomous. So even though there are rules and regulations within the organization, both at international, district, and club level, each club is still autonomous and can decide whether or not they want to comply. However, compliance typically, if you want to be a part of the organization, compliance typically comes naturally.
Okay. Interesting. And I'm sure, tell me, how can persons become members of Rotary? Because persons might be listening and saying, wow, this seems like a well-structured organization I want to be a part.
Yes, it is. And if I may jump in here, now, what happens typically for one to become a member, we do what we call an invitation basis. However, it's not only about just inviting someone. We also look at persons within the community and see, their aptitude for service. And once we kind of get a feel that this person can bring benefit, could be an asset to the club, we invariably reach out and try to incorporate that person. But generally we say it's not really just for family, but we look at close friends, we look at family, because those persons you know personally and intimately. And so we tend to invite those persons to meetings. So you get an invitation, you come to meetings, you see how we operate, and it gives you an idea as to what Rotary is about, and you will determine, if you want to become a Rotarian, etc. And once you have made up your mind about being a Rotarian, there's a process. And the process normally is that you have to attend a certain number of meetings, you have to be involved in 1 or 2 projects. That's prior to your actually being inducted. And then we give you an overview. It's called an orientation. So we let you know what is entailed in being a Rotarian, so that you don't come in blinded. So when you come in, you know what you're getting into, and that you really want to be part of it. I don't know if any of the other 2 ladies would want to add to that.
Yes, because we have with us now, I'm going to allow her to introduce herself and her position in the Rotary.
Hi, good morning, listeners. I think my president and AG did that, so I am Frances Ann Satney. Yes. I heard the listing, Director of Fundraising and past AG.
Okay, nice. So we now talking about membership. We've spoken about the structure. Now, some of the activities and plans that you guys would have for the upcoming year. Could you tell me more about that?
I'll yield to Director Francis.
Yes.
Well, we to start, the president did speak about our community projects director, but as fundraising, I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to talk about my fundraising project, because we are very excited about an upcoming project, which is what we have dubbed the Rotary Fun Car Rally. It's something before you and I were born, right? That was the last time it was held.
Yes.
Last time it was held in St. Kitts. So it's a long time, and even when I joined the club, you hear some of our members talk about, it was such fun, and that car rally, and we need to have it again and again. Yeah. So I can say at least for 15 years, I've been hearing that, and we are happy to announce that on the 16th of September, this is National Heroes Day, we will be having our fun car rally.
Tell us about it.
There's more. So we have our registration forms are ready. The person, so you have both basically what it is a rally that you're going to go around the island. You have an opportunity to discover places in St. Kitts, the beautiful country of St. Kitts. You'll have some clues that you will need to find. You'll register as a team. You can register both as an individual or a business team. So I'm hoping Win FM will join us as a team. And in a nutshell, we go around the island, and someone was saying that they heard about it and they're ready to see how fast they can get it done.
Wow.
But it's not about how fast you can get it done. It's about a lot of skills. I don't want to give too much into the inside of it now, but I'm really excited about it.
The fact that you're excited shows that it's something that persons would love to be a part of.
Yes. Definitely. And soon as that particular event is ended on the day,
Yes.
we are going to also have a barbecue at Rotary House. I'm not sure how many persons are aware, but what used to be the Bridge Club, we have been afforded the opportunity to use there. We have a lease arrangement with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and so that particular venue is considered Rotary House. It's ours. We are in the process of doing some renovations, etc., because most persons within the community will know that it suffered quite some damage during a hurricane, and it had been just there for a long time. So we are in the process of revamping the whole and restoring the premises, and so that's an additional fundraiser, so that we can also have meetings, we can have different activities for the persons within the community as well as outside the community for the elderly during the day, for the youth. We Rotary is about a complete encompassing of the population.
Awesome. Sounds really good. And I know how important fundraising is in an organization. It's really what keeps the organization afloat and to do other activities. So
that's how we service our projects, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, could you give me some of the other activities that you guys will be doing? I know you mentioned that there's service projects too.
Yes. Annually, and AG and President Charles can join as well. So we do a number of care packages as well. We go out to the elderly, those who are shut in. We do those.
Indigent.
We do.
Indigent.
Yes,
indigent.
And
shut in.
Yes, and shut in. As community projects, there's a dictionary project that we do every year. Go out to the primary schools to deliver dictionaries. We do that both in St. Kitts and Nevis. So what else in terms of community?
We've recently been involved with the Ministry of Health and In Your Kitchen initiative, as childhood obesity prevention is a major project, not just locally but in the district, that we are pursuing as a Rotary family. And we came on board with In Your Kitchen to fund the young chefs. They have a junior top chef competition ongoing at this point, and we contribute the ingredients to the young chefs for their cook-offs that they had. And some of us were actually, I mean, that's not a sacrifice at all. We were able to judge and taste the food. So it's almost like you were getting paid to do good. I mean, I would volunteer again for that anyway.
That sounds like an awesome opportunity.
And I mean, the children were learning about eating healthily and learning about how healthy food benefits them over some of the other options we have available. So I think that was extremely critical at this time, because learning, a lot of times the children want these things and the parents just give it to them. Oh, I want KFC, I want Burger King, because it's quick and easy. But if the children are able to make better choices, then that sustains us as a people in terms of keeping down the incidence of NCDs. Because even amongst our children, we were seeing high numbers of children with diabetes, which is quite unfortunate. As you know, it's a disease that takes a lot of energy to follow and keep up with your treatments. And as a child, you want to run around on the playground. You want to have a snack here and there. You want to eat your M&Ms. Nobody restricting you and pricking your finger every day. So this effort really was one of our best ways of making an impact where this is concerned. We also have, at Christmas time, we have a series of Christmas packages so we do the care packages, but we also reach out to the foster care children. We host a party for them, typically at Government House. The past 2 years has been different due to COVID in terms of the gathering, but we have still contributed the gifts to them, where each year we know for sure they'll at least get one Christmas gift. And most times the children at the party will be so excited because that would be the only gift for
and
Christmas.
Santa actually comes to deliver the gift.
And Santa comes and delivers the gift, yes. We work in conjunction with the Department of Child Care and Probation, And we've been doing that for a number of years, over a decade. So even though COVID changed the way we do that, we still are an integral part of that project to ensure that the children get their gifts. And we also visit the Cardin home and do a luncheon with them. And we sing carols, spread Christmas cheer, go around. Because not all of the residents there can come to the hall. So we take their food to them. Sometimes we have to feed them. We go and just sing the carols, bring the Christmas tree to them, bring carnival to them, so they get that upliftment around that time of the year.
Very nice, very wonderful.
Yeah, I just want to plug in too, annually we do our prostate screening.
Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
men.
Yes.
That's coming up in October.
This is like one of our signature
Yes.
projects, I would say.
Mhm.
Yes, and October.
How is the support from the public in relation to that? 'Cause as men, we often not.
I like to jump in on that. Fantastic, actually. Our numbers continue to grow every year. I think the last one we did, we had close to 500 persons who came out on that day.
That's good.
That's fantastic. Albeit we have not yet been able to match Nevis. Nevis started before we did, and Nevis has been getting numbers in excess of 600.
Wow.
So we still some ways to go. We still have to encourage. We
But
say
that's
we
even more than I thought.
Yeah, but we say we encourage men. But yes, men will actually have the examination. But we encourage the family because we want the family, especially the female members of the family, the significant others, the wives, the children, to encourage their fathers and the brothers and you know what have you, the male persons
So
within
it's
the
more like a family oriented.
to go and get tested.
Yes.
Because as you know, prostate cancer is the number one killer of black men, worldwide. And so early detection, better possibility of catching and correcting or treating.
Yes.
But that's one of the big ones for us. We pride ourselves. It's normally in July, and persons
Yes.
would have been asking, well, what is happening with the prostate screening?
Well, the fact that they're asking
yes,
means that
it means a lot.
yeah.
But I just want to say that our main doctor, Dr. Thwaites, his dad passed away, and he comes from Antigua to assist us with this particular project.
Yes.
And so because of that situation, we did a postponement. And so the next available time is October. So we will give the general public notice in due course, and that will definitely be coming on stream, as we always do. We also do, little things like, go and deal, paint a house for somebody who is unable to get that done. We're talking about the old and indigent, not just anybody, right?
Those persons who are just too busy to get it done.
Right. Yes, we do repairs, anything to assist the elderly and indigent.
Yes.
Rotary is about, because our motto is service above self.
Nice. Wonderful. I think we had a very good chit chat with members of the Rotary. I know that the aim is to have you guys here more often, so you could tell us about your activities and everything that you guys have to offer. As we wind down our discussion this morning, are there any parting words that any of you would like to say?
Well, I will start, and we always want to say thanks to the community, our sponsors, our contributors, whether it's through participating in the projects that we have, whether it's through monetary contributions, whether they're guest speakers who come to our weekly meetings, whatever it is that the community does to continue to support Rotary and its work. We're really, really thankful to the community. We are looking forward to this continued partnership. So as I said, this our fun car rally coming in September, but we do have a calendar of fundraising activities which we will continue to share, and we are looking forward to that participation and partnership with the community.
Yes.
Just to remind persons of Rotary's areas of focus. So we, as much as we are a community service-based organization, we do focus on particular areas to ensure that all of the clubs are sending the same Rotary message. This month, actually we have themes. This month is membership and new club development month. So during each month there are different themes, and the clubs work towards raising awareness of those themes, educating and carrying out projects typically under those themes. But overall, the international organization has 7 main areas of focus where we choose or select community service projects under these themes. So we have peace building and conflict prevention, and we can see that's a huge one right now, especially given what's happening in the world. We have disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation and hygiene. And just to mention on disease prevention and treatment, Rotary has been one of the major partners in the eradication of polio since the 1980s. And through Rotary's hard work and partnership with other charitable organizations, we've managed to eradicate polio 99%. Unfortunately, we were on board to eradicate it 100%, but we had some surges in the US and a couple of other countries, typically due to lack of vaccination, which is where Rotary has been tremendously useful in pushing vaccination through funding and actually having volunteers go out to countries where they go and ensure that all children are vaccinated, as polio typically tends to affect young children. Water, sanitation and hygiene, we know that's important, especially here in St. Kitts. We know the water challenges we've been having recently, so that's an area of focus for Rotary. Maternal and child health is another area of focus. Basic education and literacy, community economic development, and most recently, they've added the environment. So you can see it's a well-rounded focus area, and almost anything you can think of falls within those. So we try to align all of our service projects within these areas. So we encourage persons, if you know of any projects that will fit in line with this, bring it to our attention. We can partner with you, we can work with you, we can liaise you with other clubs or other entities that may be able to assist. Don't be afraid to reach out to us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Azard. I want to say thank you to you and to WINNFM for having us. And we await the invitation, for us to rejoin you at another time, because we are always willing to talk with the general public and to share. I also want to indicate that the theme for our Rotary year this year is hope in the world. And this is a critical theme, especially in the current environment where everything seems so, like despair is so evident everywhere. But we say, regardless, as the Bible says, joy comes in the morning.
Yes.
And so there's always hope. And for this year, we are hopeful that we can bring hope to the world. And with those words, I understand time constraints. So thanks again for having us. And Rotary will always remain, present in our communities. I want to leave though our creed, so to speak, right? Which is critical. It's so profound. I don't think people really they hear it, they see it around, and they just say, oh, yeah, just a bunch of words. But they are very, very profound. And our motto is of the things we think, say, or do. And we ask 4 questions. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And that's how we live. Those 4 questions, and you answer those, and you'll be surprised at your whole outlook of life changes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome, powerful words. I want to say thank you to each of you for making your way here today on WINNFM on Island Tea. It has been a very good discussion, a very interesting one, and I look forward to future discussions as we continue to hear from the Rotary Club of St. Kitts. Thank you so much, guys.
You're most welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we fine-tune and as we conclude this session this edition of Island Tea, I want to say congratulations to all of the winners for the cultural activities so far. We had the Miss Flow Culture Swimwear Queen, and she won 3 out of 4 of their judge segments. Her name is Miss Navila Douglas, and she amassed a total of 864 points. We also had the first runner-up, who is Miss Richards. I had the information here with me. Let me just try to bring it back as the placements.
You know what I just realized? Before we go.
Yeah.
I'm in a red shirt and you're wearing a yellow shirt.
Oh, wow.
I just noticed that.
Yes. Okay. But yes, that's interesting.
So are you going up to Nevis for Cultural on the weekend?
I am still thinking about it. I am not sure. But Miss Tiana Richards, Miss Carib Jack, she was first runner-up, 849 points. And then we had the second runner-up, Vanessa Simmons, Miss Flo, 790. And those were the top 3 placement. We then had the Calypso Junior competition, and the winner of the Junior Monarch Calypso competition was Princess Neva with a total of 257 points. The first runner-up was Mighty Zen, 241, and Dikwan, 241, second runner-up.
So that's from last night?
That's from last night. And what stood out to me just now is that both the first runner-up and second runner-up had the same score. That is what I'm seeing from the results here. So maybe it is what it
maybe
was.
They did a ranking thing.
Yeah,
but they should tell us, right? They shouldn't just.
Or probably maybe they did say that.
Yeah.
On the night of the show, maybe it's who won the most segments. Well, not the most segments, the judging, maybe who the judges favored. I don't know. It could be an error here too, but I'm seeing it repeated, so it can't be an error because it's on the, it's written and it's also on the poster.
Okay.
So both of them got 241 points. Wow.
But you still have first and second.
Yes, I guess they would have made the distinction, however they did.
Okay.
So I want to say thank you to everyone who listened. Have a wonderful day today.
Okay, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
We got Spin Cycle coming up next. Spin Cycle Power Hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have a great day.
You
Yellow
too,
shirt.
man. Yes. Red shirt.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.